Hello and welcome to Be Kind Fair. Have you ever stopped to wonder why you might cuddle with a dog, yet think nothing of the source of your leather shoes? It's a common, almost universal experience, but it points to a fascinating and deeply ingrained psychological puzzle. This isn't about judgment or blame. It's about curiosity and understanding the hidden forces that shape our beliefs and behaviors, especially when it comes to animals. We're about to embark on a deep dive into a concept called Carnism and the powerful psychological phenomenon known as cognitive dissonance. We'll explore why our society draws these invisible lines, categorizing some animals as cherished family members and others in completely different ways. This journey is backed by psychological studies and a rich historical context that reveals how these attitudes were formed over centuries. So, get comfortable and let's unravel this complex and often unspoken aspect of our human experience. Let's start with a simple thought experiment. Picture a golden retriever, playful, loyal, and full of affection. Now, picture another animal, perhaps one you've never personally met, but have seen in pictures or on farms. For most of us, the feelings elicited by these two images are vastly different. One evokes love, companionship, and a sense of protection. The other might evoke neutrality, or perhaps thoughts related to products like wool or milk. This selective compassion is at the core of what we're discussing today. It's a system of beliefs so deeply embedded in our culture that we rarely ever question it. It operates like an invisible ideology, shaping our perceptions and choices without our conscious awareness. Dr. Melanie Joy, a Harvard-educated psychologist, coined the term Carnism to describe this invisible belief system. It's not the act of consuming animal products itself, but the ideology that conditions people to do so and to see it as natural, normal, and necessary. Think of it like other isms, socialism, capitalism, or feminism. These are ideologies that provide a framework for understanding the world. Carnism does the same, but it's unique because it's a dominant, mainstream ideology that has remained largely unnamed and unexamined until recently. Because we are born into it, we don't see it as a choice. We see it as a given, as the way things are. This is the hallmark of any dominant belief system. Its power lies in its invisibility. So how does this system maintain its grip on our minds? This is where cognitive dissonance comes into play. Coined by psychologist Leon Festinger in the 1950s, cognitive dissonance is the mental discomfort we experience when holding two or more contradictory beliefs, values, or ideas. For example, most people believe that animal cruelty is wrong. We feel empathy for animals and don't want them to suffer. Yet, many common practices in producing goods like leather or certain foods involve significant animal suffering. This creates a conflict. Our value, don't harm animals, clashes with a behavior, participating in systems that harm animals. This mental conflict is uncomfortable, and our minds are highly motivated to resolve it. We don't like feeling like hypocrites, so we develop psychological coping mechanisms to reduce this dissonance. Carnism, as an ideology, provides us with a ready-made set of these mechanisms. Dr. Joy identifies what she calls the 3 Ns of justification, viewing the consumption of animal products as normal, natural, and necessary. Let's break these down, because they are the pillars that hold up the entire structure. First, normal. This is the idea that everyone is doing it. From family dinners to social gatherings and advertising, we are surrounded by messages that reinforce the idea that using animals in certain ways is a standard, expected part of life. When a behavior is perceived as the social norm, we are less likely to question it. We conform because it's easier than going against the grain. This social pressure is incredibly powerful and starts from a very young age. Next is natural. This argument suggests that humans have always used animals, that it's part of our evolutionary history and our place in the food chain. It positions our current practices as an unchangeable part of human nature. However, this argument often overlooks the vast difference between the survival-based practices of our ancestors and the large-scale, industrialized systems of today. It simplifies a complex history to justify a present-day norm. Finally, there's necessary. This is the belief that we need animal products to be healthy and strong. For decades, this idea was promoted through dietary guidelines and cultural messaging. While it's true that animal products contain certain nutrients, modern nutritional science has demonstrated that we can live healthy, thriving lives on plant-based diets. The belief in necessity, however, remains a potent justification for many. Together, the 3Ns create a powerful defense against cognitive dissonance. They allow us to continue with a behavior that conflicts with our core values without having to feel the full weight of that contradiction. Another key psychological mechanism is what we call psychic numbing, or a lack of empathy. To avoid the discomfort of dissonance, we learn to block our feelings of empathy for the animals categorized outside our circle of compassion. We do this by viewing them not as individuals with their own experiences, but as abstract, faceless groups. A cow becomes beef, a pig becomes pork, and a chicken becomes poultry. This process of objectification and de-individualization makes it easier to distance ourselves from the reality of their lives and experiences. They become objects, commodities, rather than the sentient beings they are. This isn't a conscious, malicious act. It's an automatic, learned psychological process. It's a defense mechanism that allows caring people to participate in a system that doesn't align with their values. Let's look at the historical context. How did we get here? For much of human history, relationships with animals were diverse and complex. Different cultures held different beliefs, with many indigenous communities holding animals in high spiritual regard. The shift towards the industrialized model we see today is relatively recent, accelerating dramatically over the last century. The Industrial Revolution brought about mechanization, efficiency, and a focus on mass production. This thinking was soon applied to agriculture. Animals, once living on smaller, more integrated farms, were moved into confined, factory-like systems designed for maximum output at minimum cost. They became units of production. This shift fundamentally changed our relationship with these animals. They were removed from public view, hidden away in large facilities. This physical and psychological distance is crucial for Carnism to function. When we don't see the process, we don't have to confront the ethical questions it raises. The neatly packaged products in the grocery store bear little resemblance to the living, breathing animal they came from. The disconnection is total. This is a design disconnection. Advertising and marketing play a huge role in reinforcing it. We see images of happy animals on rolling green hills, a sanitized and fictional portrayal that couldn't be further from the reality of most industrial production. This imagery is not accidental. It is carefully crafted to soothe our conscience and prevent cognitive dissonance from arising in the first place. It tells us, don't worry, everything is fine. So, we have a belief system, Carnism, that is kept in place by powerful psychological defense mechanisms and reinforced by social norms, history, and industry. But what happens when the veil is lifted? For many people, a single moment can trigger a shift. It could be watching a documentary, reading an article, or having a conversation that suddenly makes the invisible system visible. When this happens, the cognitive dissonance can become too strong to ignore. The psychological defenses start to crumble. This can be a very challenging and emotional experience, as it forces a re-evaluation of long-held beliefs and habits. It requires confronting the discrepancy between one's values of compassion and one's behaviors. People who go through this often describe a feeling of waking up. Once you see the system, you can't unsee it. You begin to notice the language, the justifications, and the contradictions everywhere. You recognize the line we draw between pets and other animals for the arbitrary social construction that it is. The good news is that awareness is the first step toward change. Understanding the psychology of Carnism and cognitive dissonance isn't about creating guilt. It's about empowerment. It empowers us to make conscious choices, rather than acting on autopilot, conditioned by a system we never consciously chose. It allows us to align our actions more closely with our authentic values. It opens up a space for empathy to flourish, to extend our circle of compassion beyond the species we've been conditioned to love. It allows us to see all animals as individuals who feel, think, and want to live. This journey of awareness is happening on a global scale. Conversations about our relationship with animals and the systems we've built around them are becoming more and more mainstream. The rise of plant-based options in restaurants and grocery stores is a testament to this growing consciousness. People are asking questions and seeking alternatives that better reflect their ethical principles. By understanding the why behind our behaviors, we can begin to create a how for a more compassionate future. It starts with questioning what we've been taught is normal, natural, and necessary. It continues with a willingness to feel the discomfort of cognitive dissonance and to examine it, rather than suppress it. And it culminates in making choices, big or small, that create a world that is more aligned with our deepest values of kindness and fairness. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive today. I hope it has given you some food for thought and a new lens through which to view the world. If you found this exploration interesting and want to learn more about creating a kinder, more compassionate world, please consider subscribing to Be Kind Fair. We're building a community dedicated to awareness and positive change.